Welcome back to another episode of the Black Cinema Experience podcast.
Podcast.
I'm your girl, JB.
And I'm Cameron.
And this week, we're back with a super special Halloween edition episode of the Black Cinema Experience podcast. We are taking a deep dive into the world of Jordan Peele, touching on 3 movies that you all know and love, movies that made such a big blast when they first came out. We all made it to the theaters to see them.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Get Out, we're talking about Nope, and we're talking about Us. So tune in and get ready to have an experience. I want to start off with, Cameron. Out of the 3 aforementioned movies, what title is your favorite? What movie was your favorite experience?
I mean, it's really hard because we have I think, 3 very solid movies. So it was really hard to pick. But for me, my favorite is Nope, without a doubt. I love Nope.
His favorite is Nope. And that also made it to my least favorite list, which is crazy. And I didn't know that you were going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay. My favorite out of the 3 is Get Out.
Everybody loves Get Out, yes. I understand that.
Naturally. As a Black woman who always tells Black men, be careful about dating them snow bunnies, okay? To see that movie and then like their karma play out, it was just such an odd, interesting dissection. So with no further ado, we talked about your favorite, my favorite. Let's go ahead and start off on the one that neither one of us mentioned. Us.
Exactly. It's a good movie, though.
It's a good movie starring Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes, and Winston Duke.
Winston Duke. Ooh, boy, we sure learned a lot from Winston Duke in this movie because I guess in a way, right? Winston Duke has range.
Yeah.
Winston Duke played like a king in Black Panther.
Yeah.
Like he was somebody, that we were scared of but laughed with, and he had this presence about him. Oh, in the movie Us, I just wanted to jump through the screen and shake this man. I wanted to sock him in his face, find his balls. It was like a combination of all of those things because he was the most cowardly of cowardice. I can't even explain it any further. Like Winston Duke was the biggest disappointment to me in this movie. And I feel like Jordan Peele set it up that way.
Absolutely. And I feel like it came from creating such strong characters or such a strong female lead character where you kind of have to play off of having that male counterpart who's like the weaker, which is also like a kind of reverse on the feminine masculine type ordeal. But speaking of Us, again, another great film, and I'm so glad we get to finally talk about horror, which is like one of my favorite genres.
My least favorite genre.
But I feel like Jordan Peele has a very fresh take on the horror genre, so I love that he does something different. And starting with Us, like this is something I feel like I haven't really seen as far as that whole. We've all heard like the different what do they call them, old tales or wives' tales about urban legends about doppelgangers. Like you see your doppelganger, it's supposed to mean like you're deaf or near death. So that's always like that's like a German thing. Like you see your doppelganger, that means either you're about to die or
there's
you're
a lot
of
women that look like me. That's crazy.
But the thing is, it's not just looking like you. It's like it's the person that essentially is you. That essence of you. So I thought that was a really interesting aspect, especially when you think about in this scenario, this is a Black family. So what does it mean to be essentially a Black family, especially in this white world? And then also, what does it mean to be, the shadow of a Black family in again underworld, the tethered world or untethered world? I think these are really good like topics to try to like wrestle with. So I thought that was pretty clever of him.
I think what was interesting to me about Us, outside of him creating Winston Duke to be this very weak male character, I think that the shadow creatures or the tethered creature that they had underground, they were a wonderful reflection of the secrets that we're hiding, right? It's like what we don't see affects us. It's kind of like one of those things, right? Like everyone's walking around this earth and they have their persona and who they want to be and how they come off, right? But then underneath it all, there's this unkept, confused version that doesn't have any type of straight arrow, straight direction, nothing like that. So I think that there was some symbolism there. But the most important symbolism I saw in this movie was the use of the rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
So in the very beginning of the movie, we get a zoom in. There's like all these rabbits there, and there's like one rabbit that's different than all the white rabbits, right? And at the end of the movie, you're seeing the rabbits get all out at these underground like trains and stuff like that. They're walking around. They're just existing. And the symbolism for me when I saw the rabbits is, okay, we are the rabbits. Like, we're the test dummies. Like, the government is trying all these things out on us. They're trying to find different ways to control us. And I thought that that's what the rabbits kind of stood for.
It is definitely.
Yeah, but really the main thing though, Cameron, for me is Winston Duke's character. And I just need to know what Jordan Peele's mission is when he writes the black man so weak. And I think it's interesting because, you know, Jordan Peele is a black man, you know, to some extent. And usually we do see white people writing black characters in and making the black character weak, you know, making them vulnerable, making them poor, making them distressed. You know, like the black character is usually written in where we need a hand, we need help. Or we have the opposite of that, which is like the black hero, you know, we're coming for the white people and we're saving the day, you know. But it's really unusual to see him, like, to see a black male written as like just this weak, thoughtless character. What do you think he was getting to when he did that? Like, do you think that there was a reason for it?
Well, not examining, just like throughout the movie, like not just him, but you know, Yaya as her father, you know, he was just a drunk and he really didn't know what he was doing. And he was just like, you know, like essentially like cooling around. I was kind of out, like I didn't know what he was trying to portray as far as like these black men not necessarily being taken serious, or is that what he's trying to say? Black men aren't taken serious just in life, you know, in this universe. So because again, I saw the similarities between the two characters, and I had the idea like, is he trying to portray all the black men weak, or like is that something other in their control, or something like that's just given to them because this is the world they're in, you know? So again, I could be overthinking it because I feel like in this movie there are like a lot of like big ideas and not so much tightened like, or you know, refined endings to all these big ideas. So I feel like it is kind of hard to kind of understand. So for me, I figured he was trying to make it like that's just like how a lot of society sees black men in a sense. So that's what I was getting from it. But
if society sees black men that way, wouldn't you want to write them differently? For me, I do take some of this work that he's done as him projecting. And I say that specifically because in Us, in Get Out, and in Nope, there are weak black male characters. Okay. Now, they're different in each film. They have differences. But like in Us, Winston being weak, him not knowing which direction to take, him basically counting on Lupita to say go, to say move, to do all that stuff. Like, he would not have survived without her. Like, I mean, from the moment that he got hit, he was like, I'm gonna go outside. And she was like, no, don't do that. Don't do it. And he was like, I'm gonna go. You don't listen to your wife. Y'all don't listen. Jordan, were you projecting that black men don't listen to their wives enough? Because I get that vibe. That's what I really got in that movie, because she was telling him what to do the entire time. And it was like he had to always question her and always had to slow them down. And it was like such an interesting way to see them deal with their relationship. But I did notice that tie-in between all three Jordan Peele movies is that in Us, we have Winston Duke, and he's being the weak, you know, leader, you know, that's not leading his family correctly. The kids are essentially saving the day, saving Lupita. He never came to save Lupita. All the kids came to save her. You know, everyone kind of held their own. And he just got kind of lucky. Like in the kill scenes, he even just got sort of lucky. But there's that in Us. And then in Get Out, you have, you know, Daniel Kaluuya, who I love, but he's essentially like a weak character as well, because the white woman clicks her glass and he's under her spell. So he loses control over himself. And then you got Lakeith, that's also in that movie, who plays the perfect the perfect the perfect black, you know, because he gets his brain taken out or whatever, and he's like the ideal, suitable, clean shaven, what white men want from us black. So it's like you see another weak black man, another black man broken down by the system, and then you skip over to Nope, and then in Nope you have Daniel Kaluuya, and there's no moment in the movie where you ever feel confident that he's got it. the entire movie I'm watching, Nope, I'm like, anything could happen. Because he's not gonna save the day.
I didn't get that for him.
Did you feel like he was gonna save the day?
I didn't feel like he was gonna save the day. I feel like I feel like I knew it was gonna be a team effort. There wasn't gonna be like a specific.
It had to be a team effort. It had to be a team effort, and with all three movies, there was a team effort to help them save the day. Even though Get Out was just his best friend.
Yeah.
But, Kiki had to help Daniel in Nope. And then Lupita had to save her entire family, essentially, and us. So I just think it's interesting that there's some realm that Jordan Peele is projecting off about the black man. He's projecting, and it's interesting to me because he is a biracial black man married to a white woman. So, his experience is hard.
Well, his mother's also Caucasian too, and he's raised by a single white mother. And I guess you can say like this is him trying to examine, or how he has examined manhood throughout his life. Being raised by a woman and not necessarily. So you see kind of like these women taking charge and all of in their roles. So that could be a big aspect of it as well. And then also seeing like there are a lot of black young men who are raised by a single mother, so like they do take that kind of back seat. But I did like that in Nope that they did have a strong father figure, but I want to focus too much on that. We will get to Nope.
Yeah.
But and us, I definitely see what you mean.
Sorry, they just have so many tie-ins where it's like this is his metaverse. So like they do, coincide.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see the similarities. The thing I guess you can say I just like the most about Nope is I again, it took these huge ideas and we kind of weren't for us we kind of weren't necessarily, everything wasn't explained, because when you look at Get Out, you feel like he presents these ideas, but everything's kind of like complete, and every thought is like explained. So like when you get to Us, it's kind of like some things I still don't understand. Obviously we talked about the male characters, but just in general about like what was the real significance between her going back with the Hands Across America analogy. Did it really matter, or did it not like really matter? They kind of like mentioned it and showed different things. Like, what was the purpose of Red getting her revenge? Like, was it because she was just like mad about living his life? Like, if life is reflected down in the tethered or the untethered, is the exact same, then why is it that she had to go back to Santa Cruz to confront her if she could just did it from anywhere, because they mirror everything? So it was just different things that were kind of like,
come on, Cameron, cook, boy. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yes. Like, but again, when it comes to it, I feel like it was a really cool concept to have like these essentially killer doubles of you. What would you do in a world when your own double is trying to take your spot? And I guess like you said earlier, we can say like it's a metaphor for like how your insecurities are trying to take over, your like your life, or those deep dark thoughts that like that try to win, but you have to like obviously fight them and you can be victorious. But if that was the case, then how is that so if she was essentially the bad person that got switched and came to the real world and became?
So let's get to that part, because that part is so important, right? Because it's gonna, what I'm gonna say next is gonna explain the Hands Across America thing in a different way. All right, so just stick with me here, okay? So Lupita, the regular human child, goes into that mirrored place. She sees herself, and they try to sell us in this movie two stories, right? But they leave everything very vague. So in one of the stories, they basically tell us like, oh, I was underground. I saw you up there frolicking. And in that moment, I knew that there was more to life. And that's when I had to create an uproar. The other version of that is that I saw you frolicking, and then I took your place. I handcuffed you, tied you to a bed, and was like, sayonara, this is my life now. Now, when you watch this film and you're trying to figure it out, because they do give you both versions, you're like, which one is the one that's actually true? For me, the second version is the one that's actually true. Real girl Lupita met the tethered Lupita, and she, at that point, went down there, and that's when she started staging her uproar.
Mm-hmm.
The Hands Across America thing became significant because we're talking about maybe a 5 or 6 year old that got kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning of the movie, she's watching a commercial. It's Hands Across America.
Mm-hmm.
Her level of comprehension at 5 or 6 is already limited.
Yes.
But then you add that into the fact that she's now in a place where nobody speaks. Everyone's walking around in circles. No one has actual words. They're all just basically following their tethers in the real world underground. So when you think about why was it Hands Across America, well, that's why. It was one of the only shows that she liked as a kid. It was like it was something that she could connect with, and she said, "Oh yeah, we are all connected," and that connection made sense to her. So there you have it. That's why we have Hands Across America. When it comes down to the uproar, here goes my dog. When it comes down to the uproar of why it was staged and why she had to be the one to do it, she was the only one that could speak. She mentions that, oh, when it was time for me to dance, they all knew I was different, but they all knew you were different because you could talk. The rest of them were all no one, exactly. Not near one of them the entire time had any words or any type of comprehension. They were all very, essentially just test rabbits, extras, if you will, copies or clones, if you will, of the originals. Again, that's the symbolism for that. So, when it comes down to this film, I had to decide when I watched it again, what version am I going to believe? Am I going to believe the side where the underground version learned enough by herself to uproar, or the side where the child version, who already knew something, used that knowledge and came back? And there was some symbolism with the handcuffs as well, because the underground version of Lupita handcuffed the real version of her. So of course the handcuffs were necessary. So what that means though is that at the end, when we're rooting for Lupita to win, and we're like, oh, we hope that the mom Lupita wins, and everyone's like tied to this idea that she's actually a good person. We're looking at the clone. We're looking at the adult clone who has evolved past her, her circumstance, because she had parents to help get her through. And she was able to continue living a life. So we're looking at the clone, and the whole time we're in this movie, we're rooting for the clone. When the original,
essentially the bad guy,
the original is fighting for her life down there.
And that's the thing that I thought was like pretty interesting, because it's like, how do you, sometimes again, how do you differentiate, you from the bad? Like, like, because again, the bad could also help you become good, or like make you change your life to do essentially good. And I thought that was like a weird way to kind of put it, like, like we're in the room for essentially the bad guy, but the bad guy is the one that's been doing the good the most, and the good Lupita is the one that's the uprising, causing the world, essentially America, to crumble.
But the thing is, there is no good and bad, because they were the test rabbits. They were created as clones to the original, with all the same capability, but with none of the nurturing, which they mentioned, like, while one, like the original Lupita, while one gets a warm meal, we get fed raw rabbit, like they didn't receive any of the nurturing, and that is what they became. So that's also another like symbol right there of people in society not having enough, becoming monsters because they don't have enough. And then you have the other people who have more than enough and don't even realize what they have, and they take it for granted. The part that for me was interesting too in that is the son in Us. The son at the very end looked over at Lupita, and he put the pieces together. He looked at her, he was like, oh shit, you not really he was like, you the bad one, but you my mama, so I guess it's okay.
We're gonna have to be okay with it.
Yeah, there's no other option. Like, he can't go get the other one back. She tried to kill him. But she tried to kill him because she was trying to get her spot back, because she knew what it was like to live. I mean, when I watched it back and decided what side I wanted to believe on, that movie made total perfect sense to me. But in theaters, I was pissed.
Well, the movie pissed me off because it's just like, dang, like, it's so tragic to have experienced this world and then be stuck and have it taken away from you, all because you were being curious. And like you were just being
listen to her mama.
No, that's one thing I got from this movie, is to listen to your mama, because literally when they tell you don't go nowhere,
I told you to stay close.
And then that's why they were saying, like, she was gone for an hour, and the mom was like really concerned and stuff. But just like, I guess you could say, like, the neglect of a black kid, like the dangers they can get into when you like don't pay attention, and like just in this big, scary world.
And it was so easy for them to come up.
Yeah.
Too, like, that uprising could have started at any point in time. Like, apparently all you had to do was go into that little mirrored walkway and then come up some stairs, and then boom. There were no locks. There was nothing really tethering them to the
and then
underground
again,
world.
from what I've seen and just looking at it, I think it's supposed to be an intentional portal because like the shaman is telling you at the beginning, find who you really are, find your true self, and so that's why you see all these mirrors and stuff, and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? And then next thing you know, you're getting kidnapped by untethered.
A clone of you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
lying, get taken down. And again, the thing I loved about this movie too, because again, I feel like Jordan Peele has introduced such a different take on the horror genre. Was like the horror of like you not being you and not seen as you. And I feel like again, as an overall like overarching theme in American society, black people not being seen as who they really are is like a really, really scary concept. And so you have to like really come to terms with who you are and like this is us. And then be like, is this what you're willing to present to the world? That's kind of what I got from that. Again, that could be fetched, but you know how
it's all about our interpretation. It's all about our interpretation. But there also was a reference that you want to touch on with the white family versus the black family, Lupita's family.
Well, you can definitely see like the difference like with privilege. Obviously, you know, like they talk about like you see like Lupita's childhood again, and again it's a little biased because we have Lupita is the star of the show, but you see the difference of how the family reacts with each other, like the different things they do. Like you said, the girls peeing in the water
at the beach,
and black people are like,
"What? You nasty?
Like, what are you doing?
How you peeing in the beach water? We all got to swim in there, nasty."
Oh, no, but then even like for me, seeing some of the different like similarities because when kids grow up in the suburban culture, like how like the parents are talking back, you know, like typically black people are like, if I would talk back to my mama, she would have, you know,
knock me in the next week,
which is not healthy, but not good at all.
But look at me in the right way, you know, where I belong,
right here in the present,
regardless of the knockings.
But like you see, like the similarities between them, you know, they're both affluent families, but like the difference is like you know that they have to go through, and then even with the tether, like how you know the black people have more of an innate will to survive, as opposed to like the white counterparts, and like you know how like they even said like I forget her name from
the big eyed white girl, the mom.
It's Elizabeth.
She's
something.
So funny. Oh my gosh, I can't remember.
But she's from The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
I will link her name right here. Post it right here. In the video. But
right where?
Right here.
Right here.
Right
okay.
here. It's gonna be
we'll make
right
sure
there.
It's there.
But how she was literally calling for the police, you know, and that wasn't and as a black person, you know, that's not necessarily always an option, or that's not the option you want to reach for, you know. So it was. I thought that was really interesting to see, like how they handled the situation of being attacked by their clones in completely different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. The white woman warned her husband that there was noise, and the husband ignored his wife the same way that Winston Duke ignored Lupita. Oh, I'm gonna just go outside then. Let me just go, and then he poked the bear. And then again, the black people, they have more survival ability, but Winston. Thank you. Winston Duke had no more survival capacity than the white husband. They were both on the same level of y'all just about to die because your wives are the only thing that could possibly save you. And even with that, you know what I'm saying, like Lupita.
Man, they'll be clueless sometimes.
She held this movie.
She did.
Lupita, I do want to talk about her acting just for a brief second, because like for me, like to see the difference between the white family and the black family, I didn't see that much of a like a huge difference outside of like the atypical, like, oh yeah, white girl pees in the pool, black girl's like, gross, that's nasty. I'm not about to get in the water and get my hair wet. That all just made sense to me. So I didn't look too deep into like what's so different about these two families and how they vacation. Like they both got money, they both away from home, they both are their houses that they own away from home. So everybody's well to do. So I didn't look at the color in this film for that reason. But when it comes down to Lupita's acting though, wow, superior. Her voice when she's acting like clone Lupita, or when
Red.
Thank you, perfect, Red. When she's Red Lupita, she's like talking like this and throwing her voice, and it sounds really demonic.
Yeah, it's
like, oh my god! When I watched it, I was scared, and I woke up that night. I told you I hate scary movies. I woke up that night and I was like, oh my god, Cody, what was that? Cody was sleeping. I was like, what was that? Because everything was just so, and like her walk around, like her like maneuvering as Red,
holding the scissors straight and like
the scissors straight, walking in a straight line, like pacing her feet, like going exactly the same amount of like, you know, it was crazy. And obviously she didn't need to do that because she was real Lupita. So why are you being weird? You were out there in the real world. You know people don't operate like this.
Yeah, but again, you become what your environment is, and when you start to be around that, and that's what you are. You lose hope that you're never going back. It's like this is what you become to fit in with everybody else.
Yeah, but her daughter was a runner, like her husband. He walked kind of weird too, I guess. And then the boy was like crouched down. You know what part of that movie haunted me just un poco, just a little bit. When she tells her daughter to chase after Lupita's like real daughter, when she says run, and then she tells her daughter like that. Oh, I don't know why that part's scary. I'm like, oh my god, that girl gonna gang up on her like a spider.
I thought
and she sure enough did. Yeah, she sure enough did. I was scared for that little girl. I was watching the movie like I didn't know what happened at the end, just petrified.
Well, when I first saw it, I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like it could have went anywhere because
but I just watched it this week, and I was like, oh, what's going to happen? Is she gonna get out of there? Like, talk about a movie that can still drum up those same emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I again, the way the music was portrayed in the film, like, like the way he does his music, the way he films, it's like it's a really beautiful way to shoot horror.
Yeah.
Again, so like, and it when you see it, it looks believable. Like these aren't like just regular like kill scenes. Like this seems like it can be fake. No, it seems very much like this can really happen tomorrow. Which, and for me, through all three Jordan Peele movies, I call it the trilogy, but it's not a trilogy because they're not together. But with the three movies that we've been given so far, it's like you can definitely see that like that realistic aspect of it, and that which is what creeps me out the most because
100%.
Like the fact that it feels like it can really happen is like.
Well, you know what? The thing about Jordan Peele that makes him special is that he embraced the Black horror genre in a new way. Okay, we didn't have to see Black people be slaves to be scared. He changed what would be scary because white people horror, we're out there in the field. There's a maniac. He's got a chainsaw. White people horror. Black people horror, it's different. It has to be more personal, more intimate, because we're not about to let a chainsaw stop us. We survived slavery. We survived segregation. We survived white men walking around in public daytime with no justice systems, lynching niggas all day. So at the end of the day, Black fear and white fear are not the same category. It was necessary for Jordan Peele to create this. How did he do it? With a white mama and a white wife? And no Black.
Well,
how is he able to tap in? Well, he still has a Black experience.
Well, exactly. Well, I'm saying because even though his mother is white, like he still has to be seen as a Black man.
He still has to be seen as a Black man.
So he still has to get treated as a Black man, and and he's always been, essentially a Black man in white spaces. So which can, as any gender can in that space, I mean, in a white space, and being a person of color, especially Black. You're going to be othered, and so you're going to have that feeling of sometimes loneliness, sometimes being an outcast. So I think he really takes that, and especially you see it in this film about like what an outcast is, being just having to be in tunnels, throughout your entire life and hide in the darkness. I feel like that's kind of like something that he brings out in his movies.
Nice, that's a nice metaphor as well. That's nice, yeah.
I mean, again, it could be out there, but
and it's just so interesting because I do think that there's a part of himself that's like being projected in these things, right? Yeah, the part of him that he had to hide, the part of him that wasn't good, so it had to be, subjected underground, while the other part of him had to be out in the front, like living a good life, being happy, like. So I could see the total symbolism there as well. But I do want to talk about, but before I do this, for this movie specifically, for us. What is your score? Scale of 1 to 10 in the Jordan Peele metaverse. How do you feel about Us?
So the thing is, I think it is a solid movie. Like I feel like it did have a mostly clear beginning, middle, and end. So and again, the acting was superb.
Superb, Lupita.
Superb acting.
And Winston, you really had me fooled that you were a coward. So I guess you did a good job.
And they played LaFleur by Minnie Riperton, which is like one of my favorite songs of all time. And then they made it creepy, which is like it just.
You're talking about your favorite song. Sorry.
Song. Well, they played it. They played it like a couple times throughout the movie. And they played it at the end too. At the end credits, and they kind of turned it like it makes it a little creepy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very reminiscent again. The talking about flowers, they're coming from underground. They're in the sunlight now, ready to blossom, all holding hands and hands in America. They have a bright future, whatever.
Yeah.
These crazy
Yeah.
killers. So I thought it was a really good interpretation. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. I respect your 8 out of 10, but I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
As you,
And it's a 6.5
Mhm,
because if you give your audience two possible endings to believe in,
mhm.
you're cheating. You're not giving the like you're giving us both enough information to make a choice.
Mhm,
But I do feel like as an audience I was really upset to leave confused, and I
mhm,
feel like having to rewatch it over and over again to understand that there's two sides that you have to believe in and you just have to choose a side on that. I didn't like that.
mhm,
I didn't like that. Why didn't you make it more clear that it was always child Lupita stuck underground,
mhm,
and that the Lupita that we were rooting for was the bad guy? It could have made me really root, differently. I could have really felt differently about the
mhm,
movie if I knew I was rooting for the bad guy the whole
mhm,
time. If I knew the bad guy was one that lived above ground and was having a whole full life.
mhm,
Maybe we just wanted the bad Lupita to come up and get rehabilitation
mhm,
and send the other one back down. Who knows? I
mhm,
mean, but I just didn't like that they made it so unclear. So for me, I'm gonna give that movie a 6.5. But speaking about Jordan Peele, his metaverse,
mhm.
and the relationships that he has with these characters, I want to gently move us on over to Get Out.
Uh, Perfect.
So with Get Out, we have some amazing. Sorry, if we didn't explain this earlier, I'm a fairy because it's Halloween. And Cameron, tell the people what you are.
I'm Coach Dan.
Okay, he's Coach Dan, and he has the socks to prove it, and the
Absolutely.
afro,
And a
and
basketball. I'm not gonna show you no moves right now. That's for
his
my class.
fans.
Exactly.
His fans. And I'm just making fairy wishes come true for all the
As
hoodlums and hood
always.
rats. So that is why we are in costume today. This is our special Halloween episode. So we're
Absolutely.
just so happy that
Spooky
you guys are
season.
still watching and still sticking with us. So back to Get Out, Cameron, and these fragile male relationships. We had some really interesting castmates in this film. We
Mhm,
had Lakeith Stanfield. He's
mhm.
not our main character, but boy, do we love him.
Exactly.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Mhm. What's the name? Real. I forget his last
Oh
name.
yeah, Lil Rel,
Lil
Lil
Rel.
Rel Howery.
Howery.
Yeah,
That's his last name.
yeah. And then we have some white characters, but this is the Black Cinema Experience podcast, and it's not no offense because the white actresses are
They
the
do
white
amazing.
characters, they were super great additions. But in this episode,
Mhm.
we will refer to them as the white girlfriend and the white mother, the white father, and
The
that's
white
kind of
brother.
that's all that we can do, right?
That's all we could do. But speaking of Get Out, like I feel like again, such a fresh of breath air,
Uh,
breath breath of fresh air.
yeah,
Because again, this is something that I feel like when it came out, it rocked the horror genre. First of all, rock movies because I feel like it changed the horror genre, especially for Black people. Because I feel like this is the first time we saw like racism be Black people's like fear,
yeah.
or like explaining
Well,
racism as her. Yeah.
anti racism.
Well, yes, because again, well, yes, essentially, but it's still a form of racism from the liberal perspective. Like, how can white liberals be racist? Essentially,
Yeah.
and that's
Ooh,
the whole point of
ooh,
like,
this man
see,
political.
no, but seeing like Black people as a commodity is, in fact, if you didn't know, it's still racism.
Yeah.
So like, you can appreciate people and like fetishize them, and that's still racist. So.
Fetishes can be racist too. And I love that you said
Mhm,
that, Cameron, because 100%. When I watched this movie, the part of it that was horrifying wasn't the fact that white people were still controlling us.
mhm,
It was the fact that white people were using their admiration for us to control us. They were
exactly.
using their admiration and their love to control us and to make us trust them
Mhm,
so they can get into these spaces where they again hypnotized us and then took over our bodies
mhm,
and used all of our miraculous talents to their benefit. So
exactly.
that the entire premise of the movie could really be summed up in that way, that Black people basically were under the spell of white people and we were becoming the acceptable Negro,
Mhm.
favorable to them, using our talents and gifts to make them money and make them happy.
Which essentially was the same thing that happened, slavery in the South. You take a Black body, you use it for what you can gain monetarily and emotionally, spiritually, because they did it for labor, they did it to make their lives better, they did it to accumulate wealth. So it's like it's such a huge deal to see it done. Obviously we know about slavery, but to see it done to where it's like you don't have to be a slave owner to still
Yeah,
perpetuate white
and you
supremacy.
don't have to be doing slave work picking cotton to be a slave.
Come
Like
on
that,
now.
like a lot of people who make it into the industry, especially like
Mm-hmm.
baseball players, basketball players, football players,
Mm-hmm.
at that level, even music artists, actors, all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
they will reference slavery when it comes down to it because they feel like those environments are environments where you're told what to do and who you are doesn't really matter. You just have to fill the box, fill the shoe, do this thing.
Your monetary gain is the most important thing
That's
over
becomes your
you being a
value.
human, over you having a soul. It doesn't matter.
It's modern day slavery again, and instead of it being slavery in the cotton picking term, it's slavery in the show me your best move, sing your
Mm-hmm.
best song, do your best dance, paint
Mm-hmm.
your best picture. It's slavery in that way where someone else is controlling your art, controlling your pain, using it to their benefit. Now the white liberal part that you brought up I think is really interesting
Mm-hmm.
because these are people who look like allies,
Mm-hmm.
and that's another level of horror.
So to
Like
get you.
don't let them get you, okay? The white girl that's dating Daniel Kaluuya in this
Mm-hmm.
movie, whew, great actress. She
Mm-hmm.
really, really is. But she did a great job. She sold the dream. Black men don't need a whole lot to date white girls. They don't need a whole lot of excuses to date white girls. They do it for fun. They do it for sport. And you see him in this relationship with her, and everyone's like, okay, it's fine, it's safe, things are
Mm-hmm.
good. He's getting the white girl experience. And I don't want to I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that
Mm-hmm.
too political because I don't want people to hate
I
me.
mean, but this is the place to do it.
Okay, guys, Cameron just gave permission. Y'all saw it here first.
Exactly. Full permission.
Yeah, so it's like the white girl experience. A lot of black men that I know that date white girls or date outside of their race will say things similar to
Mm-hmm.
that, like, "Oh, they live in different. It's a different experience. They got
Mm-hmm.
butlers or maids, and they have a whole different type of life. They get to have extra houses and whoop wop." And it's just like their mindset. These black men that are doing this, that are dating these white girls, getting this white girl experience, they're so proud of themselves because they got themselves someone in a different race and they think that they're experiencing a better life
Mm-hmm.
because of it. So they go and they run into the arms of the white girl and her white family and they go off to a cabin somewhere and then the white family attacks him and tries to take his body and use his talents. So like how funny is that? Like we have to address that in our culture.
Mm-hmm.
That when you are dating outside of your race, that other race person is not meant to save you. Like if you're trying to have a different life, it's not so you can go and be don't turn to Becky's house slave. Okay?
Exactly.
Don't be sold out to the dream that they have it better. So you're gonna sign up for whatever they got going
Mm-hmm.
on instead of focusing on building up your own communities.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Jordan Peele did this, and I thought it was funny because he has a white wife. So I'm like, what are you getting at with this, bro?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he also just happens to be a black man who notices in society, and I don't blame him for having a white wife
Mm-hmm.
because he is biracial.
Mm-hmm.
He was raised by a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
So of course you were going to look at them differently than how, a black man raised in a
Yeah.
black household would. But anyway, I do feel like he's even aware of black men and their, snow bunny affection
Mm-hmm.
and how and he was able to use this in this horror film against them.
Mm-hmm.
Their love for white women, their love for snow bunnies that is quoted and everywhere. He was able to use it against them and make it horror.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the last thing they think. They think that they're going to go to the other side and life is going to get good. And it's like life has nothing to do with what race your girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
is or what her parents are or what they own. It has everything to do with you as a person. So
Mm-hmm.
I just love that he took something that we see on a regular day basis, something that we see for black people, for black men, especially when you have a white woman or a woman of another race, that's like, you made it, bro. You
Right.
made it. You got that money. You got that bag. Look at you. You got a bad girl. Yeah, she exotic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like they take that as such a badge of honor. And it was just funny to see how Jordan Peele was able to use that
Mm-hmm.
trope, that stupid stereotype,
Mm-hmm.
and use it against them and make it their worst nightmare. Like, oh,
Speaking facts. Exactly. Like what happens if it's not what you really think, and and to do it so subtly, and then see how again I liked how he incorporated all these systems. These are all systems,
mm-hmm.
and when you give into again, essentially fetishization, you're playing into a system, and and again, like the fact that he made that into a horror movie, a lot of people couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. So the fact that black people were able to get something, I kind of was like a one up to me the horror community, because again I haven't seen anything like this, and I've seen a lot, but there could be something out there like that. But for me, it changed the game,
Yeah.
and I like there. I feel like there can be nothing else like it in this particular aspect, because we try to see other movies that try to bring up, like, how racism can be scary, or like, horror. I want to call it like the slavery horror genre, like now, like that a lot of black people are trying to do, like, oh, what happens if I was magically transported back to 1730? What would life be like? Which, again, that is scary. Don't get me wrong, like that.
Super scary.
I would not like to do that, but like I'd rather face, like, Jason or something like that than have to transport and get back thrown into slavery. But I feel like the fact that he brought like this up to everybody's attention, again, a system, I feel like it's so clever, and I feel like it's something that's very unique to black people, and I feel like it's something. It makes me happy because there's something in the horror genre that I feel like black people have always contributed to everything. We've contributed to horror. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying, seeing this like particular sub genre in the genre, it's like something we can be proud of. Like, we've done it again. We've solidified being able to put our stamp on this genre. So
yeah,
I really that's why I love this movie so much, and I love the
because what the world don't realize is that black people living in America, especially, are already having a horrific experience. Exactly. You know what I mean? So that's why we can't share the same genre of horror. We're already dealing with all types of horror on our daily basis at our jobs, from our bosses. We're walking around strangers and they're too afraid to hold the door for us, so they lock their car when we walk by. Y'all think we're the ones that are scary. We scared of y'all. I'm walking past your car thinking, I hope nobody pop out and kidnap me. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, neither here nor there. It's a whole separate genre of horror. And yeah, we're super happy about it. I'm super glad that Jordan Peele's doing this. Monkey Paw Productions is really like they're on top of it. They are creative, and they are cranking out good stuff. I'm excited to see, because now Halloween is approaching. I'm excited to see, what else he's going to have cooking for us in the upcoming years. But again, Get Out of those movies, Nope, Us, Get Out was my all-time favorite, because for me, I just felt like, as a black woman especially, it was a horror movie, but I was laughing, because I was laughing when I watched it. Like, y'all really think that they out here trying to? You just think all white people out here just mean well by you, especially the ones that are the liberals, the ones that give you all the praise. Oh, he's the best basketball player, he's the best artist. Y'all just think that they're really
now
for
go
you.
Make me some money.
Now go make me some money.
Literally.
Okay, that's giving that real Clippers vibe.
No,
I'm gonna get into that.
No, but again, and I love that, like, that was brought to the forefront. Like, I think people don't talk about it enough, like how black bodies are used, and they made that very clear in this movie, how black bodies are used, again, not just for athleticism, but it was for his art, his creativity. He had an eye, and when that bidding scene, oh my gosh, that broke my heart just as much as any, like, watching, like, Roots, when they're like selling a body, because, like, again, essentially they were selling a black body, even though it wasn't like him, sitting up there naked, and like they were showing off his body. They were showing off, this is somebody's soul.
This is ours.
Exactly.
We're selling it.
And then seeing people auction, it just makes it so real. Like, to put a price on a human being is crazy to me.
Yeah. But then those allies being the ones to buy it.
Exactly, like
those allies.
And it's like, oh, we're not doing this because we hate you. We're doing this because we love you so much.
We just love you so much. Like, we just love you so much. Like, the type of praise, like, as like the one office black that I get for just simple basic things. Like, we just love that so much. Like, we just love. It's like
doing a job or just being good. That's tough.
Do you really like me, or you just really think that because I come from a background of harder life people that I'm more capable of doing harder work, or more work, or complain less, or have a better spirit because I've already outcome through all these different adversities, right? These things that you expect me to have. Like, something that used to make me laugh is when I used to watch Everybody Hates Chris, and the teacher used to always project on Chris, like, I'm sure your mom's on drugs.
Yeah, and your dad.
Sure, you have a single mom. Your dad's in jail. Exactly. He's probably dead or gone. You probably never met him before.
I don't know, you're so poor, and you didn't eat last night.
We all weren't raised like that, but thank you very much. But again, Get Out definitely brought it home. It changed the world. When that movie came out, I remember being like, we got to get to the theaters. I think I even saw it twice in theaters. Like, we got to support Jordan Peele, and it really did change the game. So I would say this is a groundbreaking film, and it's needed. In the Jordan Peele metaverse, after he made Get Out, it was hard for me to see him make anything else, because for me, that was like number one. You changed the game, you created a new genre, you created horror that I believed in, and horror that was scary and also something that we can poke fun at, because it's such a trope and such a stereotype. So what a new or refreshing way to take on black man's black people horror.
Horror. What you call me? I'm joking. No, but out of 10, what would you rate this movie?
Get Out. Oh, full story, great cast. I would give this one easily a 10. I forgot to mention how great those scenes were where Daniel Kaluuya was falling into the sunken place.
We gotta talk about the sunken place.
We didn't talk about the sunken place.
When she said sink.
Oh.
When she basically said
and the couch and
N-word getting your place.
Yeah.
That's what she was saying when she said sink.
Yeah. I don't know how black men who date white women don't be feeling that. Don't you be feeling it?
Because every time she hit that click, I feel like I was going down too. I said, "Oh, she about to get me. She's not about to take me out in this movie." Okay.
I was like, "I'm watching. What is this? What they got us doing right here, Cameron? What is this?"
Literally, but again, being able to control a black body is like the goal of white supremacy. Like that's the whole point. I tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it.
You do it. The end. Yep.
Crazy.
So yeah, Sunken Place, the illustrations and even the cinematography for Get Out.
So beautiful.
It was beautiful. I mean, and then of course Daniel Kaluuya, like him being just a beautiful, rich, dark skinned black man, like to see the sweat bubbles and the teardrops and all that on his face, his eyes just completely bulged out
and bloodshot red.
That cover photo was so powerful. I mean, they need to give him more money for that. Like he should just get extra money for that picture because he captured
the
horror. He was scared to death messing with them snow bunnies.
But I just love how he makes these characters like face real issues. That just makes it so scary to me. Like, hey, this is believable. Like, this can really happen. Again, are people doing brain transplants and soul transplants? No. But the way it was conveyed, it made it seem like it could really be
possible.
They
gave us the perfect example. Exactly. They showed us Lakeith, clean shaved, dressed nicely. He was an older woman's arm candy, her pet, her trophy. She was proud to have him.
BBC. That's what she was.
Is it? I mean, are y'all
her Mandingo? All of the other racial.
But we removed all the things that make him black, though. We removed the scruffy hair, and we removed his afro, and we removed all the things that can make him intimidating. Now he's a non-threatening black, our favorite kind, and that is my issue with white people in America is that they love a non-threatening black. Hell, they probably like us in our environments because we're the non-threatening black in their life
or perceived.
But we're the closest thing to a black person that they even interact with, which is a whole nother issue. Like. And then you have like that, like Lakeith, like this non-threatening black character because they've removed his brain, all of that. But he's not him anymore. He's just what they made him. And what are black people with other people's ideas and thoughts and visions? Like that's not us. Take that back. We don't want that.
Literally.
You know what I mean? So again, that non-threatening black thing really holds a lot of weight because that is what the world wants from us. They want us to be the non-threatening black. They want us to follow the blueprint of a good citizen has a clean shaved face. A good citizen says yes and no perfectly. And a good citizen has their hair pinned and, well kept at all times, and very obedient. Like they have this idea of how they want us to be. And that movie was scary because that was the first time that we saw those black people embodying the white dream of a black person. That's terrifying. That is terrifying. We want you to be black. We want you to have your talents and abilities, but we want you to be exactly how we tell you to be.
And that only.
And don't get creative. We know how you colors like to do.
Sync.
Sync. Start this over. We need a new brain.
It was a really good movie. And I do give it like a 9.5, almost a 10. If Nope wasn't a thing, I would give it a perfect score.
Okay. I get it. Yeah. I think I'll give this one a 10 for me, just because of how trailblazing it was.
Absolutely.
Absolute trailblazer, and then it was done well, and the acting was great, and the cinematography was great, the illustrations were great. Storyline was complete. It had no holes. I understood everything, and the best friend still saved the day.
Because when that cop car pulled up, every black person in their heart
in the theater gasped. Oh God!
Literally, it was like a loud. Everybody was saying,
"Not the cops and all these dead white people," and this black man
choking out this white woman. And then when she said help, I swear a tear came down my face because she's like, help me. I said, this this is evil.
Yeah.
This that little white woman cry again. It's not saying we hate white women.
No, definitely not.
But that white woman cry against a black man has killed so many black men.
It has killed so
many black women.
Yeah.
In this country because of that fake.
Help me. Whoa. Yeah.
That would it seem if I wasn't on the Oscar, like that would have got the Oscar for me right there.
You know, because if I was making that movie, I probably would have stopped the movie right there. I would have left it since he's so big on making us choose our own endings, Jordan. I would have been like, oh, she said help. The cop car pulls up, and we don't know what's gonna happen. Now the movie ends.
I would have put up to your house with a gun, so you gonna finish this movie. You gonna finish this story. You're not gonna do no stuff like that.
No, that would have been crazy. Could you imagine how mad you would have been walking out of that film? That would have been crazy. With Get Out getting a near perfect score from me and from Cameron, that leaves none other in the Jordan Peele metaverse than Nope.
Amen.
Now, you said this was your favorite, so I have to pass you the ball on this. Please, deep dive, take us into what is so special about this movie.
Let's talk about it. Okay, so this is where I love Jordan Peele because he takes that deep dive. And kind of all his movies are kind of science fiction, but this is like the most stereotypical science fiction. Mm-hmm. Aliens, like everybody's like, it's always a big deal. When you think about a sci-fi movie, it's either going to be robots or aliens usually. So the fact that he took on that whole idea of aliens, I thought was like, okay, that's a big swing.
Huge.
To do, something extraterrestrial.
Especially when there's so many fans of actual aliens, UFOs, and all that
exactly.
stuff.
Well, just different, not just fans, but like people, tabloids, websites trying to prove they're real. Like, so it's like, I was like, this is a big swing. But again, very much needed because like how many movies have you seen about black people encountering aliens?
True.
Like, so again, because if the world is invaded, I mean, we've seen Independence Day, but again, that's a completely different thing because again, it's not just happening to most of the white people. It's happening to a black family. It's happening to and even an Asian family. Quote unquote. So, I love that he had put this special twist on this genre, but then also not being stereotypical because he had the flying saucer. Everybody knows the flying saucer is like the most common alien. But for it to be the actual beast and talking about like what would a actual like extraterrestrial look like? Yeah, I thought that was such a clever idea because we're so used to seeing like little skinny, tall people, like these little weird. Like humanoid creatures or animals.
Humanoids, which is so funny because if they're alien, why would they look anything like us? Why wouldn't they be giant size with octopus legs that can float in the sky and disappear? Why would they be so limited to 2 feet?
And they have like an electrical bear. Exactly. So I thought that was like, creative. Wow. Like, and again, Erica Alexander has always said, she said that black people have always seen themselves in the future. Mm-hmm. So like when I was thinking about this movie, I was like, that's so true. Like black people always see themselves in the future because we've always had to survive. But also like just, changing the perception.
You said it's such a vibe. And it's like we were slaves. We were like, one day it's going to be different. We were like, segregated. One day it's going to be different.
Like you have like black people literally in this country have had to always look to the future.
That's true.
Because we're like, oh, it's gonna like even now, police are gonna stop killing black people
for no reason.
One day, it's like, dang, black people really have seen themselves in the future since they've been here. But like also seeing that take, I thought was just genius. Like we haven't seen anything like this before. Nobody ever made the spaceship the actual being. Like that was like
alien. Yeah.
So I thought that was amazing. Again, also incorporating the dynamics of a black family, especially like a single black father from what we got with this movie, with his 2 children, and how the relationships play out. There is sometimes a sibling that leaves, one that stays to try to please appease their family member. Yeah. But when that last family member is gone, how do you
see the relationship?
Exactly.
How does it
help? Yeah. And how do you cope? One person's been gone, one person's been here, and having to deal with all this. So I thought it was like a really, really awesome story, and even tying in the whole Gordy aspect. A lot of people were confused about why the chimpanzee was in the movie. And
pause. Don't go into Gordy yet. Let's get back to Gordy in a second.
So
because we got to talk about this in smaller chunks because I hated this movie. I hated this movie from start to finish, and I was really disappointed because I'm a Keke Palmer fan. I love Keke Palmer. I'll do anything for you, you special Virgo. Mm-hmm. And when I saw this movie with her in it, her part was just so short lived.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was the light, like she
Mm-hmm.
always is. You know, comes in sparkly, funny, goofy, all of
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. Which I love to see her play that carefree black girl
Mm-hmm.
role. There was a lot of resentment though. The
Mm-hmm.
brother was very resentful
Mm-hmm.
towards Kiki for going away for living her life.
Mm-hmm.
He even told her basically like, "F you, you
Mm-hmm.
know this. You need to focus on Hayward Farm. Like you need to focus on this business." And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "This is my side business. That other stuff is real."
Mm-hmm.
So like she was very different.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have any type of family loyalty. There was like no
Mm-hmm.
allegiance for her as far as like, let me stay in this line of business with my brother. So there naturally was resentment because
Mm-hmm.
he's holding down the fort. He's the one going broke. He's not living, and she's
Mm-hmm.
living so well.
Mm-hmm.
She comes back and she's a spark for everybody, and he is resentful of that. But also,
Whose fault? I'm joking.
whose fault? Also, can we talk about the weak
Mm-hmm.
black man
Mm-hmm.
that Jordan Peele gave us
Um,
again? He
mm-hmm.
gave us Daniel Kaluuya.
Mm-hmm.
I can probably count maybe 10, 15 words that he said the entire movie. He did not
Mm-hmm.
speak. I thought he was mute for
Mm-hmm.
a good portion of the movie. It disappointed me. I'm like, why do we have to have these black men that
Mm-hmm.
are essentially, you know, there's nothing wrong with being on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
But why do we always have to have these characters of these black men who can't speak up for themselves? They don't know how to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we putting them on TV weak? The black men in my life are strong.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like this. They're not this confused all the
Mm-hmm.
time. And it's just like to see him up there so weak. I'm like, we women are expecting you guys, men,
Mm-hmm.
to take the lead, to be able to, you know, do something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just hard to see him be that insecure, you know, not confident,
Mm-hmm.
you know, place filler of his father. Like again, another shadow,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, from you know earlier films, but another shadow of somebody else. He's
Mm-hmm.
not living in his presence. He was a shadow of his father, kind of a shadow to his sister. You know what I mean? He's not even as charismatic. He's not even making his own
Mm-hmm.
way. So again, I really don't understand how many more times Jordan Peele is going to help in the masculization
Mm-hmm.
of black men. So I don't know why Jordan Peele is so obsessed with the emasculation of the black
Mm-hmm.
man. Like why it's so necessary for him to do that in every
Mm-hmm.
film. And part of me wonders, well, did you not have a black father figure in the home at all? Did you
Mm-hmm.
not ever see black people? Did you grow up with a bad perspective of the black man? Therefore, you must write him
Mm-hmm.
as this helpless character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which
And,
is scary.
well,
Which is
and
scary.
I'm not gonna discount your experience because again, I feel like I don't necessarily see it that way,
Okay.
but I do see where you're coming from. But I think a lot of these aspects that you're saying aren't necessarily weak to me. It's just a different aspect of a man because for a man to not be so like outspoken is not necessarily weak if he's reserved. Now again, I didn't get that he was necessarily weak because again, he's the one who came up with the plan. He's the one like was like the one spearheading after he found out like he can make some money. He's spearheading the plan of like how we can catch him because he brought the expertise of what he could do, which is know how to wrangle wild animals, tame animals. So Kiki was the brains behind it. Again, I do understand the aspect. Her being the brains, having to say we need to do this, but he was the one that was like, "We're gonna stay and handle this." Like I'm not running when she wanted to run.
Yeah.
Now again, that him being very soft spoken, that is kind of weird to me because in the scene where he has to rely on her to, do the spiel or like the promotion and like the safety steps for the movie,
and he couldn't even look up.
No, he didn't know how to look in the eye. But again, for me, I feel like that was him living in his father's shadow because if you look at his father was like, such a bold man. Like you could tell he's the one that ran the show essentially. Yeah. So I feel like there are men out there again who are like just soft spoken, but to me, it doesn't necessarily scream weak. But again, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying,
you know what, and you did talk about something interesting that maybe this is my problem. Mm-hmm. I like to see films that have a certain male gaze, if you will. When you see a male character on TV and he's like the only guy in the film, he's usually our strong man, our savior. He's going to be the one to give us the solution. Like if we were watching Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, any man, like we're going to be looking at that man. And I don't care what movie it is. The main male character is always Mr. Save the Day. He is the one with the answers. He's the one that has the most thought out plot, or plan. And I just think that it's interesting in these horror films that his main male character never is that person. So maybe it's me because I'm trained to see the male gaze a
I mean,
certain
we all
way.
are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we all are. Of course, not just me. But I think that that's interesting that he worked so hard to do the opposite, to be like, no, we're not going to make him the Mr. Stud Muffin male guy that's going to come save the day. We're still going to make him save the day, but he's about to struggle first, and we're not going to make him be like the dream guy. Like, yeah, to me, his meekness and his shyness did translate to weak. But I also felt like he was like, waiting on other people, relying on other people, and I just thought that was like, lame. In other scary movies, there's always that person that's like the brains of the operation, and they get things going, and they give out the commands. And with him, it just felt like he was not in control the whole time.
But I think about in this movie, he did a good job of balancing it because again, Keke Palmer being the only like speaking woman in this movie,
yeah,
being able to like hold her own with the like predominantly male cast,
yeah,
I feel like that is something special again, and that could be seen as like, why is it black women can always hold their own in a room of men, but a black man can't hold his own in a group of men, So I can kind of see where you're going with like with that, like because like again, Keke is standing essentially,
she comes in
holding her
as the
own
full package, yeah.
in this movie. But I do again, I like the aspect that he kind of did break it up because I feel like both siblings had their strengths and their weaknesses, and it showed like at the end of the day, we're the Haywards, and we about to get this money, we about to catch this alien essentially,
and they did catch the alien.
And they did catch the alien, and again, it stems from like that's a lot of black people's tenacity, like a lot of black people have started stuff. I love this movie again because they tell you how the first person ever videographed or photographed, well, not photographed, but like in a motion picture, is a black man.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy because you would think that would be such a big deal, as much of a big deal as the person that was making the movie, So I like how he took that fact and made a like what if, scenario. If black people actually got the credit, black people were actually able to be in control of their legacies.
Yeah.
What would that look like? And I thought that was a really like, again, and as to the horror aspect, like if black people have to deal with racism and so much drama, what could we do?
What could we actually accomplish?
What could we actually accomplish?
Yeah.
Without all the trauma and all the drama and stuff. So I thought that was a really, again, another chef's kiss for me.
I enjoy that as well. Like to know that like fun history fact that they just threw out there. Like I would love it if more of our movies had things like that in it, so we can actually start learning more about our history. Since they're working so hard to ban our history from books and from classrooms, like why not make more movies and include those little tidbits of knowledge so we can one day watch that in class, like we did Forrest Gump. You know what I mean? Like I don't know why we watch Forrest Gump so much,
but it's just like also like the fact that the reason why we have the term cowboys because it was referring to black men that they used to call the cowboys because they would be out tending to these cows, animals and wrangling that cows, and they were black.
Yeah, that checks.
And then, but when you look at that cowboy, the first thing you think of some Clint Eastwood movie,
or
something.
True.
And it's
that's
like
true.
That's not crazy,
especially black cowboys. We have a whole time for that.
Exactly. But also, and then like again, like I've said before, but my grandfather being a cowboy, essentially, and from Oklahoma, so seeing these black people being included in this genre is to me this horror western movie. I think is a very, very important aspect that he captured in this sci-fi movie. It's crazy.
I'm gonna still stick with I hated it, but it took too much piecing together for things to make sense. Now that we've gone over Daniel Kaluuya's silence, Keke Palmer's charm, this farm and the Black legacy and why it should be in history books, I do want you to talk about Gordy.
So to me, this was the scariest part of the movie. To me,
for me as well,
when Gordy attacked,
I said the alien, kind of like a butterfly, like me today. But to see the monkey killing people, that was terrifying.
Yeah, well, because we know this has happened. So it's like there have been like there are like multiple stories about like people having chimpanzees and them attacking them.
I wasn't aware,
and mauling them.
Mauling them to death.
It's very gruesome. So again, that's why I was like, scared, like and but it was that whole aspect of like taming, trying to tame creatures, especially trying to tame something that we essentially might not see as like necessarily a predator or something that's like scary, because we domesticate these animals or whatever. But
They're
at the end of
smart.
the day, animals are animals, and then there are certain rules you have to play by. And we learned that, with Gordy, even though he was, on a show and hadn't been doing it for a year, they said it had a whole season. One little trigger took him back to
An
wildlife,
animal, yeah.
So and he made an attack. Same thing when he tried to do with
But
Jean
for me, I was
Jacket.
like, y'all couldn't kill this thing before it got that far. It is still small.
Yeah, but chimpanzees. But that's the thing. Chimpanzees are they're like they have the strength of like their strength is like 3 times that of a human.
3 of y'all, get over here.
I know, but you say 3 of y'all, but you have to understand the strength. It's not like necessarily like it's in one being. So it's like it can just and it's faster, sharp claws, sharp teeth. Like it's a scary event.
That's true.
It's a scary event, but the thing is like trying to tame these animals and like trying to like getting so comfortable. You don't want to do that. Like at the end of the day, like and they make the reference multiple times, like when the horse looking in the horse's eye, like looking into a wild animal's eyes, like it's always seen as an act of aggression. Like, oh, you're standing up to me. So seeing him incorporate that in Gordy's story, having a trigger, and then seeing him incorporate that with Jean Jacket, the alien that they have to capture, it's like, oh, this is about like how crappy humans try to tame and try to monetize everything, essentially, whether they're doing it to black people, whether they're doing it to animals. That's what or the whole goal is.
Yeah,
they like it's always to like conquer and monetize.
Yeah,
and I thought that was like such a genius idea.
I hate this movie. and I'm glad that you see all these wonderful things about it. But for me, like that chimpanzee was random AF. Everything that was happening with Dan Kaluuya, like the kids pranking the farm, the horses getting out, like him finding a dead horse, right?
No, he had found. He saw the horse get taken.
Right.
But that's how when like something was wrong.
Yeah. This movie had too many elements for me. Too many things happening at one time. It was very much so giving "sorry to bother you" vibes. It's like we want you to be on the side of like I didn't care about this movie. I couldn't care about this movie. It just lost me with the whole like they're in the house and the house is having body parts rain down on it and blood rain down on it. And then they go to this fair and then people are getting abducted and it's like it just was all over the place. Like, what is this alien's goal? What's the purpose? And if it's able to do all of those horrific acts, how would you ever be able to catch this thing? Like it just didn't connect. The dots didn't connect for me.
Well, to me, it was like the whole Predator. Like, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Predator, because they say Predator is a black man because he has dreads.
Yeah,
which is like always like
racist. Who made him?
Exactly.
Who animated
him? Yeah, exactly. Like literally, but it's like the whole Predator fight looking for prey and prey fighting back type ordeal. I think they did a really good job of again imagining what would an extraterrestrial beast, more intelligent, but like a beast. How can we incorporate that into a horror movie? Because again, you think about something like orcas. They're like really smart. They're these huge animals who have very, very similar like social and like thinking capabilities as humans, but they're in the water.
Yeah.
And we know not to mess with them. So think about that on a bigger scale, I guess, in an alien. It's not impossible. We can catch orcas, but given the chance, even though they can be tamed or domesticated, given the chance, they can cut up.
Yeah.
Like they can cut up. And I just think they did a good job of showing that, like, with extraterrestrial beasts. Like, yes, this beast is intelligent, but again, it can still be outsmarted by the prey.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's gonna be hard because, like, again, this thing had like electric magnetic field. You can use electronics with it. Like, it was a really, to me, it was a really good take on sci-fi.
They had to capture the picture, and it was like, we gotta get the picture. It was like, this is such a far left.
But for me, that was like, for me, the black aspect was like how black people always have to prove what they've experienced.
Ooh.
That's what I got through it.
Okay, for metaphors.
Me. but again, it could be out there. But like the fact that they were like, we have to get it on camera because when black people tell you something traumatic's happening to you, nobody believes you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I see.
So that's what I got.
I see. Okay. No. You're onto something with that one. You are. You are definitely onto that. Because I never thought about that. Like that symbolicism. Like, when we say something, we're not believed. We have to be able to prove it. And it's like we have all these monsters in life.
And niggas said, and niggas like, and the aliens, you like, He on that Illuminati, all that crazy stuff.
Well, I mean, like when I say monsters, I'm talking about like when
Mm-hmm.
we go to work and stuff, and we have to deal with certain things from people. Like those are like different types of monsters. But like with us, with black people, unless you have documentation that you've been being abused by the last
Exactly.
last 6 months, we can't really take anything serious from you. Like unless you have proof that cop beat you to a pulp, we can't really do anything for you. You know, so like it is interesting that they had to capture that on film. I never thought about that. Keke Palmer's wardrobe in this top 10. Top 10 favorite wardrobes. I know she was dressed up and she was acting like a lesbian character. I do believe that she is bisexual. From like one of her last interviews that she had did, but I loved it. The tomboy hot girl look. It was so cute. Curly hair, short shorts.
We were matching. I'm
you were matching big time. What? You dressed up as Keke Palmer. That's one of her outfits. This is what I was
going for. You know.
Stop. She did what she did. She did the jersey shorts and the tank top. You were killing it. But with her acting, she is really such a artist. So it really didn't matter what they put her in, because I was gonna be like enthralled to see her on screen anyway. She really is just my favorite girl to see on TV. Kiki. But then to see Daniel Kaluuya do that silent mute role after he just did Get Out, which was so powerful, so moving, and he had so much life and vigor. It was just so interesting to see that too, because I guess in a way that's dimensions. You know, there's levels to that. Yeah,
I thought it was really good. And also Stephen Wynn, the Asian guy.
I loved him from. He's getting a lot more stuff now.
But he really, I feel like he did a really good job at his part as a surviving member of that Gordy incident, and then trying and seeing how how the person that can experience some trauma like that will still be the person to perpetuate the whole system. You know, you saw what happened. You see what happened to your cast, and now you're still trying to do it again, and then in the end, see what happened to you and your family.
Oh, this movie didn't win me over. This movie didn't win me over, and I don't even think that it captured the scary genre. I think that it was more than anything just really confusing. And again, from all three movies, he intended to confuse his audience. Okay, 2 endings with Us, Get Out, not it was confusing. We didn't know what was going to happen. And then this movie, Nope, where everyone left like, okay, was this about aliens or crazy chimps? I understand that there was additional symbolism in there, but again, I think he might have gave us still too much to chew. I want him to make some more swings at it, because honestly, he captivates me. I'm definitely a huge fan of him, but I need him to do more things and take his time. Give us a smaller bites. I don't want to see a chimp and an alien. One or the other. Come on, help me stay on. Help me. We're ADHD America, okay? Please make it simple for us. But other than that, though, I still enjoyed seeing Keke, the cinematography. You had a special note about
how they had in order for us to be able to see them at night, they recorded in the day and then use a filter and recorded the exact same scene to make it nighttime. So all those scenes are shot during the day, which is so smart. It looks like nighttime, but you can see what's happening, because my eyes. I'll be like, I don't know if I can see it with some of these films, like Harry Potter is dark, but this movie, like the way that they did this technique, I thought that was really interesting. I don't know if it's been used before, but just revolutionary to me.
It is revolutionary, because why haven't we thought of this sooner? You know what I mean? Like, especially Black people, like we are Black, and it's hard to see Black skin sometimes on TV. Like they don't always get the lighting right, especially with white lighting cast. So it's really, really great to see a movie that you can actually see, and you can see the main characters, and they can be Black without them being ghosts. You know what I mean? Like it really was a creative way to do something new, and I'm sure that's going to make a staying impact in Hollywood. I mean, come on, think how much money that they save not having to record everything
exactly
at night and just double filter. Like what? Like genius. Okay, Cameron. So you did say this was your favorite out of all the movies, but I do want to hear from you. What score do you want to give this?
I'm going to give it a 9, because again, it is my favorite out of the genre. But as far as again, I do feel like it is out there as far as some of the concepts. So with that saying, I will give it a 9. But acting superb, cinematography superb. To me, aliens, Black people and aliens superb. I think it's crazy.
Black people and aliens, superb.
Literally.
Is there anything else you want to add to this movie before I give my score?
I definitely think if you feel like it's a lot happening, just watch it again and just see.
No, I watched it again. I didn't like it the second time either, or the third. I was mad. That's it. That was it.
Just watch it again.
Well, my score is a 3, and it would be a higher score. Like honestly, because Kiki's a 10 for me, and then Kalu, I mean, he fine even though he was mute. Fine. So I mean, I would give them as human beings 10. But as far as like the film and the tie-ins and like the concepts, I think that interesting, yes. Good, no. I give it a 3. That ties up our Jordan Peele metaverse entry into our scary spooky season Halloween episode. You've heard it here first. Our thoughts on this wonderful creator, writer, producer, Jordan Peele. Give it up for the Peelster. But thanks again for watching, guys. Another episode of the Black Cinema Experience podcast. This is our 50th episode. Yay! So if you have not already liked and commented and subscribed and interacted, make sure you do so now. Let's help grow this channel so we can keep putting our Black actors and actresses on platforms and pedestals where they belong.
Absolutely.
Thanks again for watching another episode of the Black Cinema Experience podcast. Bye.